Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bowerly.
Welcome to Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast, the Dynasty version of this show. Well, I guess the Dynasty version of this podcast. We are here today with Justin. No Dave. Dave tried to make it. He's a boomer, and he does not know how technology works, so I guess he could not figure it out. And we're not going to have bad audio on the show just to have Dave on. But we do miss Dave. Everyone misses Dave. Big numbers when Dave shows up, so big rating Dave. That's what we call him nowadays. Follow us on
PRD.
Well, he is right. He's the big draw. He's the Brock Lesnar of the show, right? Everyone shows up when Dave shows up. So follow him at Viking Dave 18. Follow the show OUSFF Pod on X. Follow me, Josh Kimmel OUS, and of course at Justin Bowerly. It's all right here, which you can't see because I'm cut off. And make sure wherever you're watching, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you leave a comment. Be interactive with the show. We have some great Dynasty content for you today. We have part 2 of the running backs. We have 6 more to talk about. Some pretty important ones, some pretty big ones. I got some notes. I got some information. I'm not going to say anything stupid today. I promise. I guarantee that. I'm not going to say anything stupid. Justin, how about you? You going to say anything stupid today?
Well, I don't get a lot of comments about me being stupid, so nobody's commenting about the guy in the Colts jersey. So I never say stupid things. Everything I say is intelligent.
Always. So let's get right into it. We have some running back free agents hitting the market in 2024. We have a big name to start the show. We have a big name to start this segment. Do you want to get Josh Jacobs involved? Because he's going to be a free agent going into the season. He did sign an extension through 2023 with the Raiders after a holdout situation. Josh Jacobs is 25.8 years old, almost 26 years old. Still young, not young, but still can get another contract for another team. Do you have any, my thing with Josh Jacobs is he's a high volume play. So where do we even see him going if he does leave the Raiders? Because I don't see him leaving the Raiders. Spoiler alert.
I actually don't see him leaving the Raiders. I think they keep him. He's been doing well with Antonio Pierce as their new head coach or interim head coach. I think he ends up staying. I think they re-sign him. I think the whole him not getting a contract thing was more to do with their general manager and Josh McDaniel and Dolphins. McDaniels is the one that got fired. I think it had to do more with them than anyone else. So yeah, I think he ends up staying with the Raiders. If he doesn't, he's going to go to a team that doesn't have a running back. He's not going to be in a 2-back system.
Are we going to attempt to bring Dave back in?
Nope.
Okay.
Guess not. I told him to pop in here just to see if he can hear us. If he can't, then get the hell out of here. But
got it. So Josh Jacobs has been in the league since 2019. Since that time, he's number 2 overall in carries. The only person ahead of him was, of course, Derrick Henry. He is 147 carries ahead of the third place guy, Zeke Elliott. So Josh Jacobs has been a very, very involved running back in the system with Las Vegas, with the Las Vegas Raiders. Going back to 2019, he's been running back 21 or better. He's been a running back 1 or better since 2020, finishing 2020 at running back 8, 2021 running back 12, and 2022 running back 3. This year he's running back 14. That's because of injuries. And again, he's a high volume player. So the reason why he is so high in the first place is because of the volume. Let's be honest. He's got his lowest yards per carry of all time, 3.5 yards per carry right now. His career average is 4.2. He's definitely on the decline, or maybe it's a running back situation. Maybe it's a system situation. Maybe it's a situation where they're not using him in the right way because just last year he balled out, the year before and the year before, right? So what changed? I like Josh Jacobs. I'm a Josh Jacobs guy. I know in the past he's been fading or hating us fantasy players, saying he doesn't care about our teams. I remember that very vividly. And about 3 years ago on the show, I cussed him out, which we've changed. We're different people. I love you, Josh Jacobs. What is he looking at contract wise? That's my thing. Is he gonna cost? Because he's been producing because of the volume. He's proving he's a value asset to an offense. but is he producing yardage-wise, production-wise? That's the question.
That is the question, and I had that information, and then I just stopped looking at that information. He is. It looks like his market value is around the same as it was this year. I mean, around $11 million. I can't see him. I don't know. We've seen a lot of running backs just not get paid. So, I'm sorry. His market value is about $12 million a year. They're projecting about roughly a 3-year deal for $33 million on Spot Track.
Yep. And that's something I looked at as well. Teams I could see him going to that's not Las Vegas. I can see him definitely going to Tampa. They're going to need somebody. I could definitely go see him going to Cleveland as well. I know Cleveland, I've attached running backs there, but I do think they're going to want to find somebody. They're not going to run with Jerome Ford by himself if Nick Chubb can't return to full capacity. And that's a run-heavy team. And I think they want to get someone like a Josh Jacobs. And maybe some guys we're going to talk about later. Guys that can carry the load, guys that can take 300 carries a season, something that Josh Jacobs does. Again, he's 26 years old. He was a sell for me going into this Dynasty season. I was selling him for anything that I could. Not anything, but a value, of course, just because I like to get out of the guys that are going for their second, third contract a year early. I'd rather him be awesome this year and him decline the next year, and I don't want to be stuck with a declining player. So that's why I moved him first.
Another team I could also see him going to. There's a team that we always we've tied 2 players last week to him, but maybe the Cowboys.
I think they learned their lesson with Zeke, and they don't want to pay running backs anymore.
That's fair. So you think they'll just let Tony walk?
I think we both agree that Tony Pollard's going to stay in Dallas, but they want to find a complement running back, and they can't. And he's on a megastar, like not megastar, but he's going to get a pretty decent contract. They can't pay both, so maybe Dallas looks in the draft for that. But Josh Jacobs he's not going to take anything less. He did sign an extension of $11.79 million. He has a career earnings of $23 million. Half of the career earnings came out of this season. He's going to want to continue on that. I don't see him taking a big pay cut, but he's going to have to because of the production and because of his age. Unfortunately, I think that this guy, wherever he goes, it needs to be a high volume rushing attack because he definitely needs that to be involved. He's a great pass catcher too. They just don't use him in the pass catching game. I don't understand why. We want that 60 catch season again. It's not going to happen. It looked like it was going to happen this season, then things changed. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. They've been running with Aiden O'Connor. Our head coach got injured, fired because he was awful. It's just a lot of question marks with Josh Jacobs right now. If he's on my roster going into 2024, I'd be looking to move him. I don't know for what. I moved him for some rookie picks last year, and it turned into 2 great players. So I got lucky on that end. Hopefully you guys can get lucky as well and find someone that needs running back help going into the 2024 season.
Yeah, the important part here is, do you wait until after he signs a contract with the team or before he signs a contract with the team? Because maybe he goes to a team that is not going to be a good fit for him, and then you can't sell him for anything. Or maybe he does go to a really good team that makes his value go way up. That's going to be the really tough part to really navigate. I would wait a little bit more into the offseason to sell Josh Jacobs if you're going to sell him. Just random thought here. Another team that I could have thought about would be the Panthers. They want to buy everything they can to help that team grow, and Bryce Young can't get enough time to stay in the pocket. So dumping it off to Josh Jacobs might be a good, safe play.
That'd be a great situation. I don't know if Josh Jacobs wants to go waste the twilight of his career in Carolina. But
he gets the money.
Yeah, but he has proven he's a money motivated player, which aren't we all? We're all money motivated at our jobs, right? Nobody's gonna take a job. It's ridiculous that some people out there, he should take a friendly. Dude, they're people and they're trying to make as much money as possible, and you cannot hate on them for that.
It's a 25-year-old that wants to make enough money to live the rest of his life.
Yes, right, and his family. So
yeah,
can't hate on that. I respect him and get the money, dude. Josh Jacobs, the future is unknown at this point. I'd hope he does sign with Las Vegas. Let's move on to the next guy. Before that, I got some comments in the locker room drama from Ronald McDonald. Drama and contention between Rachaad White and Josh Jacobs. That will be the end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not no comment. on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No comment on their future. No comment on anything Buccaneers. Done. I don't follow the team. I don't know anything about Tampa Bay. I don't live in Tampa Bay. I know nothing about the team.
Tampa Bay is not a real city, so
it's not.
It's Tampa.
It's not. It's Tampa.
Yeah,
it's Tampa.
Who do you want to talk about next?
But I don't follow the Buccaneers. I know nothing about the Buccaneers. I'm a Jaguars fan. Austin Ekeler. I'm a Jaguars fan. Duval. Austin Ekeler.
Oh, hold on. Time out. Sorry. I don't know why I'm saying timeout. How do I not have an Austin Ekeler graphic? Oh, no. Man. Move on to the next person.
Moving on to the next person where he's going to make one, I guess. Okay. All right. DeAndre Swift. Running back 15 on the season in 2023. He's 24.9 years old. Obviously, he's going to be 25 going into the next season. Still a young, not up and coming. I guess he is what he is at this point. Playing. I'm not a Florida Gators fan. Ronald McDonald. Playing with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's finally getting the opportunity to show who he is and what he can do in an offense. He's been very ice cold in the past 4 weeks, but again, that's small sample size of a end of the season where the whole Philadelphia Eagles in a whole are struggling right now. Yeah. I think that we need to see that more often when we go, hey, DeAndre Swift, he's really slipping right now, or Stephon Diggs, he's really slipping right now. We need to actually look and see what is going on. Because in 2 years from now, we're going to look at Swift and, man, what happened at the end of the season? What happened to Stephon Diggs? We need to see actually the whole offense is struggling, not just DeAndre Swift at this point. And a lot of people don't do that, unfortunately. But Swift, I believe he signs with Philadelphia. He's a good fit there. They wanted him. They traded for him. They don't have anyone like, come on, get Rashad Penny. Stop with the nonsense. I did see a lot of people on Twitter finally wave the white flag on Rashad Penny. And that's something me and Dave on this podcast consistently been telling people for years now. Yeah. Rashad Penny's never going to happen. He couldn't even beat out Chris Carson. Rashad Penny's never going to happen.
It's like off of Mean Girls. It's like, stop making fetch happen. Fetch is never going to happen. Rashad Penny is never, ever going to happen.
And the same thing with Kenneth Gainwell. He's a great complementary player. Like, he can get the job done, but he's never going to be a bell cow number one back in the NFL. If you believe he is, then that's on you, man. And that's, hey, believe in your dreams. Hopefully he is one of those guys. I don't want to I don't want to downgrade any players. They're all great players. I couldn't make it in the NFL. There's no way. So.
No, absolutely not. No way that I'd be able to make it. I mean, do you can't actually see me. So 6'2", 220.
You're 6'2"?
Yeah, 6'2", 220. Okay. There's no way I'm making the NFL work.
You're a giant. I'm like 5'10".
Cornbread, man. We're corn-fed up here.
DeAndre Swift was a second-round pick out of Georgia to Detroit, as we know, and they just underutilized him from the start. I believe it started with his first game ever. He dropped a touchdown pass that would have won the game. Remember that? That was his first season ever. He dropped a touchdown pass, and that was the beginning of the end in Detroit. I'm just joking. But for real, they just never wanted to use him, never wanted to make him an elite back, but we all thought he could be. It was nauseating. When DeAndre Swift was traded to Philadelphia, I was on the show telling everyone he's going to be a top 8 running back in Philadelphia, and he was. He really was. He was getting the job done. He was elite. I was laughed at. Rashad Penny. People told me Rashad Penny. People told me Kenneth Gainwell. Whatever. And then week one happened. And I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. Well, it came out to be DeAndre Swift was the man there, but like I said, the last 4 weeks have been awful. I posted on Twitter. He's been a complete bust in the past 4 weeks. But he's career high in rushing attempts, career high in rushing yards. He's never had 200 carries in a season. He's going to break that this season. I think he's going to get a multi-contract year for sure. I think he's going to be the most valuable person we're going to speak about today because he is only 25 years old. Other than Philadelphia, can you think of any other landing spots?
I mean, another team that would be really exciting to see him land on would actually be the Houston Texans, as much as I hate to say that, just because, of personal reasons. I think the Texans would actually be a good spot. That's a very young team. It's a high-power offense. Stroud's been really good. DeAndre Swift going down there would actually turn that, like, you're looking at right now, Singletary and Pierce. Give them an actual real running back, and that team is going to explode. I think DeAndre Swift on the Texans would be a really good matchup.
Ronald McDonald in the chat telling me already I'm getting the insults.
Oh my god.
Bozo Josh, because I don't know why, but it's okay. Look, let me fantasy book. By the way, I did do a fantasy booking of WrestleMania 40 last night. Catch that on Finstock Sports Network. I did a solo wrestling show where I fantasy book WrestleMania 40. You can find that on this channel. Go ahead and look it up. It was really fun. But Miami, I believe Miami would be fun with DeAndre Swift. Raheem Mostert's not getting
running back.
Raheem Mostert's not getting any younger. I know he's scoring all these touchdowns. I get it, but come on, he's like 31, 32 at this point. I don't really think Salvador Ahmed is the answer here. Jeff Wilson, don't think he's an answer. You pair DeAndre Swift with Achane. That's a really good duo. We really want to get that run game going. I'm a Dolphins fan, everyone, so I want him there. Kansas City. Kansas City would be a great fit, I believe. Jerick McKinnon, again, not getting any younger. CEH is an unrestricted free agent. We're going to talk about him later. I believe they want to get some weapons on this team to help out Patrick Mahomes. Why not add another running back to complement Pacheco? Pacheco's on a very cheap deal right now. Then you can afford to get in a DeAndre Swift. I know that they need running backs. I know they need receivers, but come on, you're going to lose CEH, which it's going to hurt more than you guys think. It is. And then you may lose production with McKinnon. We already saw the fall off this year. They're not using him as much. They actually start using him during playoff time, which is really, really, really wild. But DeAndre Swift, I think, is the most intriguing running back going into the 2024 season.
Yeah, I agree. He was an intriguing running back for the Lions until they traded him, obviously, thanks to the draft and signing David Montgomery. But yeah, I have nothing else. I think wherever Swift ends up going, he's going to go to a team that really needs that running back. That they are already a contender. I can't see him going to a team that's just awful. That's the only thing. I mean, it's not going to be like a Miles Sanders situation where they let Miles Sanders go and then he goes to the Panthers. I mean, and then falls off.
Ronald McDonald in the chat, DM me at Josh Kimmel OUS. I don't remember if I added you on Fortnite or anyone else. I know I added somebody, but I forgot who it was, to be completely honest with you. I think maybe it was you, Ronald. But if you did, DM me on Twitter, please, because I want to play some Fortnite with somebody. I want you to come to my Lego world. See my Lego world. See my palace. See my village. Anyway, next guy on our list.
Let's go to a bum.
Well, let's get which one? Dalvin Cooked or
Dalvin Cooked?
All right, Dalvin Cooked. Here it is. 28 years old.
Played a lot of games this season. 14 games, 197 snaps, only 292 yards, and this many touchdowns.
I don't know what to say.
If you're looking at points per game, he's RB 83 on the season. So he was a highly contested. Like everybody thought this was going to be the free agent running back on the market. He ended up signing like during minicamp or whatever, during the preseason or during Hard Knocks. And that whole team exploded. I don't know if it's just because Aaron Rodgers isn't playing, or if it really is like he just wasn't going to be good this year.
I don't know what to say about Dalvin Cook. I mean, 1000% on it. Like life hits you fast, and life hit Cook fast. Is it a situation where they're just not getting the ball, or their offense isn't running the ball well? Because Breece Hall's not having a phenomenal season either. Is it a situation where he is actually cooked and he can't get the job done? I don't know what it is. I know that a lot of fantasy analysts, me included, I'm not an analyst. I'm just a person on YouTube. I'm not a professional, but I do know my stuff, and I will let you know that I was all over Cook. I know that professionals that are in the highest ranks of the podcast industry and in the fantasy industry told you, go get Dalvin Cook because Breece is coming off this injury. Didn't work out. Everybody was wrong on Dalvin Cook. I didn't see one person say avoid Dalvin Cook. So this is on everyone in the industry, and we didn't see this coming. Not one person saw this coming, except for Minnesota, I guess. They saw this coming.
From a mile away.
I mean, think about it. They opt out of Dalvin Cook. They said, no more Dalvin Cook. We'll take our chances with Alexander Madison. That should have been red flag to every single person in the world, but we just ignored it. We turned our, because we love Dalvin Cook. He's been a superstar for years. I don't know if he's going to sign somewhere. I don't know if he's going to be a free agent. We see these guys just come and go. We see Melvin Gordon just fade away to obscurity. We see Todd Gurley just fade away to. We see all these guys who had great seasons, great fantasy seasons, just fade away to obscurity, and we don't see him ever again. Look at Leonard Fournette. He was a running back. He was a top running back 2 years or a year ago. He really was. He was useful. Tom Brady was checking it down, and he was great. And all of a sudden, obscurity. This could happen to Dalvin Cook, people. It's a real situation where he doesn't play football again.
Well, and there's a point on some of those other guys, like Todd Gurley was like 24 and faded into nothing. Is he fading into nothing, or is his age is actually catching up to him? I mean, he's 28 years old, and I'm not going to say 28 years is old, but for a running back that's taken a lot of hits on and has had some injuries, this is getting old. Like, he might just be done.
He's only had 197 snaps this season. That's it. That's nothing. That's a joke. So is it he can't get on the field or stay healthy or actually keep speed, or is it the Jets have no use for him? That's the thing, is we have to look at that. If he does get a contract, because I don't think he's re-signing with New York. He's not happy there. He's already made that a point. There was trade talks in the middle of the season. Remember that? Like, there was a couple weeks where he was talking about want to get traded, or there was trade rumors out there. Apparently nobody was interested. He's going to hit the market. He might be one of these players that end up on the Ravens when J.K. Dobbins tears his ACL again, because the Ravens are the only team ever that just picks up these old guys and makes them work. I mean, I could see that situation happening. I mean, come on, they brought back Devontae Freeman back to life. Think about the Ravens. They bring anyone back to life. I think, was it Le'Veon Bell 1 year where they just brought him back for no reason? I can't comprehend the Baltimore Ravens. Dalvin Cook could be that player moving forward where somebody gets hurt in the camp. Oh, let's bring in Cook. He's a veteran. But he's not really going to contribute to your fantasy teams anymore.
I think he's going to end up being a free agent up until maybe week 1, maybe later. I mean, this is going to be like a Leonard Fournette situation where we won't see where he signs until the season has already started, and then maybe he just stays on the practice squad.
Yeah. This is a situation where if you didn't dump Dalvin Cook this offseason, you're stuck with him on your roster because nobody's buying him unless he signs. You need to hope he signs somewhere where it's juicy, like, oh, he signed with the Rams, or oh, he signed with the Chiefs, and then you go, hey, take a third for him. Get anything you can for him.
Yeah.
That's what I would, but I don't think you're going to get anything. So we have 2 guys left. Were you able to make an Austin Ekeler graphic?
Yeah, man, I am a professional producer over here. I just had to find it.
Yeah, you just had to find it. Austin Ekeler, superstar, fantasy superstar, a fantasy enthusiast. He's 28.6 years old. Will be 29 going into 2024. Currently running back 25. He's having a very, very bad season, probably the worst season of his career. I do have his numbers in front of me. Do you have anything to say about Ekeler before I get into it?
This was a running back that was drafted as a top 5 running back, if not top 3 running back this season. And he has been not good. Another one that's 28 years old, on the latter half of his career, didn't get the contract that he wanted. Now he's going into free agency. And we saw this happen with Melvin Gordon on the Chargers.
I'm not saying that he's going to just fall into obscurity, because there's a difference between Austin Ekeler and other running backs that are 28, 29 years old. There's a difference. And I'll explain that to you if you want me to right now. Or
I understand Austin Ekeler gets a lot of pass catching and a lot of targets, and that's what makes him very valuable in PPR fantasy football. And rightfully so. But can he find the right situation on a team? Because it's not going to be the Chargers next year. There's no way he plays for the Chargers next year. It's going to come down to where he can land. And if he can land with a team like the Chiefs with Pacheco, that'll be interesting. Denver, that would be somewhat interesting. But other than that, I mean, like he's going to have to, it's kind of like a Swift situation. Well, not really a Swift situation. It's going to be like more like a Josh Jacobs situation where you're going to want to go to a team that can compete.
Okay, so Austin Ekeler, he's running back 25, right? That's what he is right now. That's just the facts. He has such high expectations because the year before he was running back 1 with 372 points. The year before that, he was running back 2 with 343 points. 2020, he was running back 26, had an off year. I believe he was injured a little bit. 2019, running back 4. So he's been in top 5 3 out of the past 4 years. He's been an elite guy, and this is coming from an undrafted player. I remember the day I picked this guy up on all of my Dynasty rosters, and Dirtbag Dave, and I wish he was here to confirm this or to call me a bum, but I picked him up everywhere, and guys, this guy's going to be special. Just trust me on this. I got him for free, and he's given me everything I've ever wanted out of a running back. Honestly, could not ask for someone better. That being said, I do see a future for him, just a couple more years, but never to be a top 5 running back again, maybe never to be top 10 again, just because of his usage. He's not a regular, typical running back. He doesn't get the yardage. He doesn't get the carries. He's more of a target monster. Since his 2017, since he's been in the league, he's 3rd in receptions. Only CMC and Kamara are ahead of him. So he's been putting in the work in the pass catching game. Can't deny it. Kamara, CMC, you would say Hall of Famers. Ekeler's got to be in that conversation as well as one of those elite talents. He's 18th, though, in rushing since 2017. That's where his value falls off. He's got to go to a team that's going to be able to be smart enough to use him in the passing game and to use him on the goal line, because he's got a lot of touchdowns in the red zone as well in the passing game. That's what I'm saying. He's 4th total in touchdowns since 2017, 69. Kamara, CMC, and Henry are above him. Again, elite running backs we're talking about here. He's part of that elite class of running backs in our era, in this era. Sport Track currently has his contract value at 1 year, $7.8 million. That seems like a joke, but if you look at his age, he's going to be 29 going into next year. No team is going to want to pay him a bag full of money. He's going to have to humble himself, which I think he will, and take a lesser contract and maybe go to a contender. How about this? Cincinnati. How about this? Seriously, and I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it doesn't make sense maybe to some people, but if you want to go to a contender, you want to go out there and win. He's probably tired of losing, being on one of the worst franchises in NFL history of the past decade. It doesn't make sense, people. But why not go to a team like that, contend, play with a Joe Burrow, be that pass catching back to a Joe Mixon, have Brown go in there and be a change of pace guy once in a while? Why not? That'd be super fun to watch. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but again, he's diminishing. He needs to take less snaps. Make him valuable in your passing game, because the Bengals really don't have that right now. But, I mean, that's just one team. I mean, there's multiple teams he can go to where I think he'd be awesome.
I think the Bengals would be a cool fit if they decide that they're starting to move on from Joe Mixon. But even if they're not, I mean, Ekeler and Mixon both together, that would really change up that offense. It would give Joe Burrow a quick out real quick if he can't get Chase or insert wide receiver open here. So Bengals would be a pretty good option.
Yeah. And there's multiple options that he can definitely go to, but someone's going to have to, he's just going to have to take less money, and he knows that. He's smart. He knows this. He knows the business. Our last guy on the list today, unfortunately. Thanks for watching, Ronald. Make sure you leave a like before you leave. And everyone else is watching. I see all you people watching. Make sure you leave a like as well if you do enjoy the content. Leave a comment below. Don't be shy. If you're watching on Twitter, by the way, we don't get your comments. So if you want to comment, be interactive on the show, you need to go to our YouTube page, OUSFF Pod, or at Finn's Talk Sports Network, or on Twitch as well. We don't
or
get
retweet
comments.
it, and I'll read your retweet.
And before we get into the J.K. Dobbins portion of this, the last person, Big Trev has a question. I want to answer that before we get into J.K. Dobbins. His question is, need a PPR flex. Ferguson, hate flexing tight ends. So do I. Thielen, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Warren, Ramondre if he plays. Thanks. That's a lot of options to look at. I'm going to leave it to Justin real quick before I pull up some NFL schedule to make sure I get all these matchups correct.
Not looking at any schedules. I know Cooks goes to Miami, and I've heard Cooks doesn't do well not in Dallas, for what that's worth. Warren, I think, plays the Bengals. They're a pretty decent team. Ramondre, again, if he plays. Thielen, he's been pretty terrible the last couple. Has he got a green matchup?
Green Bay. Yeah.
Green Bay. Okay.
Green Bay's awful right now.
See, here's the thing. Why does everybody hate flexing tight ends? If your tight end scores more points than all your other options at flex your freaking tight end. Like that's the thing. If you got a stud like that, flex them. I
Whoa,
don't care.
we're calling Ferguson a stud?
I mean, we called Ferguson a stud most of the season. Is he not a stud anymore?
Ferguson's a
I don't
very good player.
I don't have Ferguson shares, so I don't know how Ferguson is actually.
Ferguson's a very good player. Let me say this about Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen has kind of fallen off the wayside. He's getting 7 targets a game in the past 3 weeks. He's just not producing anything at all. And he's kind of the guy, if he's not scoring touchdowns, he's not going to really produce for your team. So I'm going to eliminate Adam Thielen off the bat. I don't see him scoring any touchdowns against Green Bay, although it could happen. I mean, obviously, any of this stuff could happen, and we could be wrong. Jaylen Warren against Cincinnati, that right there seems like the play I would do, because Brandon Cooks is not great on the road in Miami. But Miami can be had, man. This is so tough because there's so many. I will comment on the flexing tight ends real quick. I am in a dynasty league. I've been flexing 3 tight ends since week 10. I've been flexing Trey McBride, Isaiah Likely ever since he could, and TJ Hawkinson in the same, because I don't have anyone else. All my players are getting hurt. And guess what? I've won 8 games in a row. I'm actually in the semifinals against Dirtbag Dave, who couldn't be on the show today. And I'm still using 3 tight ends. And it's like pretty pathetic, and I'm laughing about it. But like Justin said, if they're getting you the points, you have to go with it. You got to look at targets and quality targets. Jake Ferguson, is he going to get the quality targets you need over an Adam Thielen? I say yes.
I have 3 dynasty teams where I flex a tight end every week. And you know where I'm sitting at in each of those leagues? First, because I'm not afraid to play the guys who score me more points.
Yeah, but if you look at Jake Ferguson, like, he's not one of these guys where he's getting targets. But Ferguson has been on fire, 8 targets in the past 3 weeks in a row. At least catching at least 5 balls a game, scoring 19.7, 12.2, 10.4. He's getting double-digit fantasy points week in, week out. Jake Ferguson, I would not be afraid to start him against Miami this week. That's who I'm going with, Jake Ferguson. But if Ramondre plays, it's Ramondre. Don't get too cute. But I'm not so confident Ramondre plays. I have him on all my benches, unfortunately, this week. So Jake Ferguson over all those guys. Start the tight end. Why not? Let's risk it.
Why not?
So J.K. Dobbins. Torn ACL, or not ACL. Well, he tore his ACL in 2021. His Achilles this week 1 on my home league. He was one of my running backs, of course. It's unfortunate, man, because he had a lot of promise. He was a really good player. He had explosiveness. With this Achilles tear, it really scares me. Every single running back that has had an Achilles tear has never come back the same. You can say that about Cam Akers, Justice Hill, James Robinson, and Marlon Mack. They all tore their Achilles since 2020. Marlon Mack tore his Achilles in 2020, which you're well aware of. Took him 53 weeks to return. Cam Akers, 2021 offseason, took him 25 weeks to return. He really wasn't the same when he came back, and he hasn't been the same since he's come back. Justice Hill, 2021, took him 52 weeks to return. He hasn't really been the same, but he is actually playing NFL, and he's in the league, so J.K. Dobbins still has hope. And James Robinson, the undrafted player, 2021, tore his ACL or Achilles in week 16, took him 37 weeks to return. He really hasn't been relevant since. He's been jumping around on teams. No one's given him a chance.
I think he just got released from our practice squad, actually.
So where does that leave J.K. Dobbins, right? He tore his Achilles in week 1, so that his schedule to return, according to this information that I have, he will be ready for week 1 of the NFL, according to this information, right? Most people 52 weeks, 53 weeks, some 25, 37. So if you average that out, around 48, 45 weeks per Achilles tear. The ones that have been actually in the games, though, have been Justice Hill and Cam Akers. Very different. 25 weeks for Cam Akers and 52 for Hill. So it really depends on your age. It depends on your, obviously, recovery time. And I believe J.K. Dobbins, he's been going through recovery and rehab his entire freaking career. Is this going to mentally beat him down? Is it going to just build him up and get him some ambition to get back in the league? Honestly, it's going to be based on him and how he looks in training camp. I don't know if a team takes a chance on J.K. Dobbins. If he does, it's going to be very, very, very team-friendly, a prove-it deal. I can see him easily signing back with Baltimore. They did it with Justice Hill. Why wouldn't they do it with J.K. Dobbins? I mean, I think that you see him not signing anywhere because you said that you have two players that aren't going to sign.
Yeah, if he signs, it's going to be a very, 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 very team friendly deal with the Ravens. I mean, they like you said, they've done it for Justice Hill. I'm just looking at the last 3 seasons, and he's only played in 9 games in 3 seasons, and one of those he didn't even play a game in. He's played less in the last 3 years than he did his rookie season, where he only saw 805 yards, 9 touchdowns, but 805 yards, finishing as the RB23. I think his career is done. I'll be honest with you. I think at 25 years old, it's sad to say his career is done. I can't see him being productive ever again in the NFL.
That is sad. I don't want to hear that. I'm here for positive news.
I am too. Just 3 seasons, 3 injuries, like season-long ending injuries. Not just like, oh, I have a sprain or something like that. He's like had season-ending injuries for 3 straight seasons. Like, that's not good. Or maybe I guess 2021 might have been still out from the 2020 injury, but
yeah, it was recovering. It was recovery time.
Okay, 3 out of 4 seasons he had a season-long ending injury. So I don't think he's going to be a player that's going to get signed. If he does, again, it's going to be the Ravens. It's going to be a team-friendly deal that helps him recover. And
I hope, man. I don't want to see his season ending this way. I'm sorry, guys. We don't have any more. I don't have any more on J.K. Dobbins. This is a sad situation. Oh, we do have Clyde Edwards-Helare to get to, though, but I have a question in the chat that I do want to get to.
Yeah.
So we have, he needs help balling. He needs help. Kamara and Kupp took the night off. Yep. Should I start Kyler Murray versus the Bears or Browning versus Steelers? Also, Joshua Palmer versus Buffalo or JSN versus Titans. Let's go with the quarterback situation first. Kyler, going against that Bears defense, they're not great. Obviously, Kyler's going to make some moves, but they just announced Hollywood Brown's out. Not that it means anything, because Hollywood Brown's been out for the past 5 weeks, it seems. Or Browning versus Steelers. This one, to me, I'm riding the hot hand, although I do love Kyler Murray. Going Jake Browning, 20 points in the past 3 weeks, 26, 24, and 20. Steelers do give up just 14.4 fantasy points to the quarterback, averaged out. So they do have a tight defense over there. But I'm still riding with Jake Browning, the hot hand. He's been awesome. And I don't want to get creepy. I don't want to get creepy here on this podcast. But a lot of people are talking about Taylor Swift in the booth all the time, and they're showing these screenshots, and they're showing her like celebrating, yada, yada, yada. Who's the chick in the Browning box that
for Jake Browning? Yeah, nobody's talking about her.
Nobody. I've looked up. I've Googled Jake Browning girlfriend. I've Googled. Jake Browning's a real winner here. Kelsey, step your game up, bro. Well, you're dating a 5.
Didn't I hear something about how Joe Burrow invited Jake Browning's family?
Yeah, family. That's Joe Burrow's box. Yes.
But is that Joe Burrow's fiance?
She wore a 6 jersey, and I have never seen her before.
Oh.
So that's got to be Browning's girl.
I have to do some investigative research.
And why is everyone freaking about a 5 who makes terrible music named Taylor Swift, and we got a freaking 9 over here dating Jake Browning's a real MVP?
Dude, we cannot release this onto YouTube because we're never.
I don't care.
The Swifties are going to come for us, and we're going to.
She's
get
a 5 at best.
Oh my god, I'm not putting this on YouTube.
Don't put it on YouTube. I don't care. That's my opinion. She's a 5 at best, and Jake Browning's girl, a 9 at best. Like, for real. But anyway, that's besides the point. No one's talking about that.
It's up balling here.
Josh Palmer,
another thing to think about. About the quarterbacks here.
All right.
We talked about Browning against the Steelers. The Steelers, haven't allowed a lot of points against teams. However, Gardner Minshew last week was only projected 13 points, got 20. Browning's been, again, hot hand. We talked about Kyler Murray on Wednesday's show when it was up against Purdy. We took Purdy over Kyler. I'm gonna take Browning over Kyler. Also,
Browning. Josh Palmer versus Buffalo. JSN versus Titans. Josh Palmer. Keenan's out. He's already out.
Okay.
That team, the Chargers, are a nightmare. They are a mess. Josh Palmer did score that long touchdown on broken coverage when the game was already over. We did discuss that on Tuesday's show. JSN is a crucial part to that offense. I believe he scored the game-winning touchdown
He did.
I was not awake for that, but he did advance me to some leagues, so I really appreciate you, JSN. And for that reason, I'm picking JSN. Give me the guy who's involved in an offense, who for a team that matters, that's competing for a spot, over a team that's destroyed, uninspired football.
We don't even know who the quarterback is going to be this week.
Yeah.
Is it still going to be Easton Stick, or are they going to start Will Grier this week? Like,
give me JSN. This one's pretty cut and dry.
I'm going to take JSN also.
All right. And the last one, we do have one more running back to speak about. And the reason why I forgot about him because I didn't write any notes down because I don't need to. Clyde Edwards-Helare, one of my loves. The guy I took over Jonathan Taylor and mini rookie, and a lot of people did. A lot of people took Jonathan Taylor or Clyde Edwards-Helare over Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, a lot. Like I said, a lot of people did. I don't see him re-signing with Kansas City. He's 24. He's going to be 25 years old. He's been a complete failure for this offense only because of his draft capital. If he was a third-round guy, a second-round guy, we wouldn't be criticizing him the way we are. He just hasn't produced like a first-round running back, and that's why people are so down on Clyde. And plus, he hasn't produced, and he's not getting the playing time. He's getting beat out by an undrafted player in Isaiah Pacheco. Clyde Edwards-Helare has potential. We saw the talent where he made that jumping catch in the end zone that Pacheco couldn't make. Jarrett McKinnon probably could make that catch, but Clyde Edwards-Helare did. He's just not a good fit for this offense like we thought he was going to be. I can definitely see him getting a second chance somewhere else and be producing, and their expectations will be very low because we will forget that he was a first-round pick failure for Kansas City. Hopefully he goes somewhere else where he can revive his – we've seen it. Look at Zach Moss. Zach Moss was a failure in Buffalo, correct? We believe that? He went to Indy and did very well. Yep. Derrick Henry was a failure for his first 2 to 3 years, correct? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then guess what? He figured it out and started booming. I don't like to give up on these young guys yet. Now, there is a point where I do. If he moves on to a different situation and he does produce, I mean, he could be back. I know everyone's laughing at me. I know everyone's going to be commenting mean things about this, but I will say I'm not giving up on CEH yet. I'm not buying him in Dynasty, and I'm not selling him in Dynasty. If I have him, I'm holding. If I don't, I'm just going to let it play out. I don't know. I think you think this is another unsigned guy.
I don't actually. I would. And then I looked at my list of teams that I think could add a running back, and I quickly remembered somebody. Clyde Edwards-Helare wasn't always fantastic, but he was kind of involved in Eric Bieniemy's offense. I mean, he only played 10 games in 2021 and 2022, 13 in 2020. He had some injuries. His yards per carry, over 4 yards per carry, over 4.25 yards per carry each of the seasons. He did decently well. Throw him on a team with a young quarterback. Has another running back there also, like Brian Robinson. And maybe Clyde Edwards-Helare can take over that Antonio what's his
Gibson?
name? Antonio Gibson role. Maybe he goes to the Commanders and gets repaired up with Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I would like that situation. Other than that, like anywhere he goes,
and that's a low expectation team too. So he doesn't even have to go in there and have 1,000 yards. He can have 800, and they would love him.
And that's where he has to go. He has to go to a spot where the expectations are a lot lower because this kid had a lot of pressure on him being a first-round pick. Watching guys like Jonathan Taylor just ball out while he's just on the sideline watching Isaiah Pacheco and Jarrett McKinnon do what he's supposed to do. He was supposed to be that dynamic Shady McCoy type player that they drafted out of LSU, and he just hasn't been. He's been a total disappointment and bust for your dynasty teams because if you did draft him, it had to be 101 or 102. It had to be. That's where he was going. In my leagues, at least, he was going, like I said, he was going against Jonathan Taylor, and we were all wrong. But hey, that's why we play the game, and we're wrong about a lot of people. Remember N'Keal Harry? He was a 101 and 102 in a ton of leagues. And I know that a lot of you people don't remember that because most people started playing Dynasty after the fact. A lot of new Dynasty players out there, but N'Keal Harry was a consensus #1 pick. And he was the biggest fail. I drafted him at 101. Oh my gosh.
My first Dynasty League draft, well, for the draft of CEH and Jonathan Taylor and all of them, took Jonathan Taylor 101. But it probably is because there's 12 Colts fans in that league. So
I will say this: my first, we're gonna log off after this because that was all the running backs. My first ever dynasty draft, was a long time ago. I had the 102, and I took Le'Veon Bell, not knowing anything about him because I didn't watch college football. It was my first dynasty. I was totally clueless. Monty Ball went 101. I dodged a freaking bullet, baby. I dodged a bullet and Giovanni Bernard went 103. I'll never forget because someone who we still play with, his name is Zeb. You know who he is. He's in our one of our leagues. He took Gio after me, and I regretted it because I saw a doc, and I'm like, let me get Gio. I offered him Bell. I offered him Bell plus. Wasn't doing it. Thank you, Zeb, for being an idiot and let me have a lot of championships with Le'Veon Bell.
Gio Vonnie Bernard?
Yeah, he was 103 in that draft in my dynasty. My first ever dynasty. It went Monty Ball, Le'Veon Bell, Gio Bernard. I was 102. I got super lucky. I took over an orphan, and I won back-to-back championships when I took over. So
the first time I got Le'Veon Bell, it was a keeper league, and he was suspended for 4 weeks, and I got auto-drafted the 101 pick, and it took Le'Veon Bell for me, and I was like, well, crap, this sucks. And then he balled out, and then he balled out the next year, and I just kept keeping him. So it worked out.
That's going to do it for our Fantasy Friday Dynasty show. Thank you for everyone that watched. I saw a ton of you in here today popping in and out. The support has been tremendous over the past 3-4 weeks. Our YouTube page has grown. OUSFF growed. Our YouTube page has grown. OUSFF pod. Well, we started out just 2 weeks ago. We had a comment, 18 subs. Well, now we're at 32 strong, I believe.
We just got one during this episode.
We're growing it organically. We're not buying subscribers. We're not promoting this thing nonstop on Twitter. So thank you for all of you, honestly, to support. Make sure you support at Finstock Sports Network. Bobby's been great for us. We're here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. The schedule is down there below Justin, so make sure you tune in, set those alerts, hit that like button, guys. We're out of here. Enjoy your Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone. Seriously, if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays. Have a great New Year. We're out.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. Follow on X and Instagram at OUSFFPOD. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.